Shalom Israel, welcome back to class, and shout out and shalom to everybody online, and also the water for those that decided to come and make it in class today, the water to those in class and also online. We want to give a shout out to our brothers in New York, and Rochester, New York, and Norfolk, Virginia, and in Houston, Texas. Also, we want to give a shout out and strong salute to Cabo Cab in Guatemala, Amiatza in London, and all our brothers in Atlanta, Canada, New Mexico, and California. Shalom to you as well. And this is just a continuation of a topic that we started a few weeks ago. This is part 3. It's called The Most High's Creature, Celestial, Terrestrial, and Mythical, part 3. And part 1, just a quick recap. On part 1, we learned that what? The Most High created who first out of all creation? Christ. So-called Christ, Jesus Christ. In Hebrew, we know as Yahushua, as the one that Christ, at the Most High, created first and foremost of all. He was the first of all his creation. All right, he duplicated himself. He didn't hold back, giving him any of his wisdom, his understanding, his knowledge, and also Christ, through Christ, was everything else created, including things seen and unseen, things material and immaterial, and also the heaven and the earth. So those things on earth and in heaven. Christ created all those things through the Most High, all right, and the power of the angels from the beginning of Genesis, all right. So then we learned that in part 1, and then part 2, we learned that what? Say it again. Leviathan, the dragon, right? Leviathan, the fiery serpents, who they were, what they were. Were are dragons real according to the Bible? And do they exist at a certain time? Yes, we kind of covered that last week. Say it again. Yes, also we learned that the what's so-called weather, bad weather, which you got currently right now a heat dome over the south and southwest stretching from California to Florida, that's unheard of. These unheard of weather patterns that are extreme, that are causing excessive heat warnings throughout the globe. We also learned that the Most High is behind these so-called ill weather patterns of what people call El Nino or torrential rains. Because at the same time you got drought and heat in the south, you got flooding in Pennsylvania and West Virginia and up north, and you got entire cities, villages, and towns being flooded out. Dams about to break up north, and then you got in Canada, you got fires that's causing extensive damage up in Canada. So you got fires in Canada, you got crazy torrential rains in Pennsylvania and Virginia, West Virginia. You got drought and people dying. A dude just died the other day. An old man just died in Arizona going for a bike ride. He had a flat on his tire on his bike, and he died because he didn't make it. And he was just going for a bike ride. Bike ride turned into death.
Well, he from the heat. Lost moisture.
Shit, he lost everything. He dehydrated. Yeah. You're at 100 plus. You're at 115 degrees, and you're going for a bike ride. You get a flat tire. You better ride on that rim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What you gotta do?
You better figure it out. You know, you can't. That's as sad as it is. You know, you got to respect what's going on. You know, you got to respect the weather. But we understand that through last week's class, the Most High is behind these storms. He's orchestrating and maneuvering the weather patterns to make it what it is. But for the unknown eye, we think that, okay, it's just Mother Nature acting up, global warming, carbon footprints. We have all kind of explanations of what it is that it may be, but we know through the scriptures that it's the Most High and his angels that he put as spirits that he says will turn into a flaming fire, or they'll turn into fire, hail, wind, teeth of wild beasts. These angelic beings, these spiritual beings are behind these so-called weird weather patterns and animal attacks as well.
They're celestial.
Yes, those are celestial creatures having a terrestrial impact on earth. And we also learned that the Most High sends those out as to pacify his wrath and to pacify his anger. All right? So we learned that all last week, or the last time we went over part 2. And so we're just going to kind of touch upon the end of part 2, which is Leviathan, and pick up on that part. And then we'll finish and continue on from part 3. All right, so just to recap, let's go to Job chapter 26, verse 12 and 13 real quick. Just to recap, Job chapter 26, verse 12 and 13.
Job chapter 26, verse 12. He divided the sea with his power.
Go ahead.
And by his understanding, he smited through the proud.
So what's the topic he's dealing with right here? He said he divided the what?
Seas.
The seas, right? Go ahead. And he said he divided the seas with his power, and by his understanding he smited through the what?
To the proud.
How? Read on.
Verse 13. By his spirit he hath garnished the heavens, and hand hath formed the crooked serpent.
And his hand had what?
His hand hath formed the crooked serpent.
So where's that crooked serpent at?
See.
And then what is that purpose of that crooked serpent?
Smite the proud.
It's to smite the proud. So we're just finishing up. We're just kind of recapping what we started last week.
And you showed the proud was these people that go into the ocean with lots of pride and arrogance.
God. Or people's desire to conquer nature.
Yeah.
People's desire to conquer the air, or to conquer the earth, to conquer the mountains, to conquer space, to conquer the sea. Whether it's to put the deepest vessel, the submarine, like we just seen in June, those 5 individuals died in that Titan sub, and they were found only about 150 meters. That vessel was found only about 150 meters from the Titanic itself. So both the Titan and the Titanic, they sat together at the bottom of the dam, 12,500 feet below sea, right off the coast of I think it was Greenland or something like that, or Nova Scotia. They weren't far. They weren't far. Right where the Titanic fell at, they sat in the same location, and they pulled it up out the water, trying to figure out how did they go down. And they went down within the same day, within an hour and a half of going underwater. It's supposed to have been a 2.5-hour trip to the bottom of the ocean to explore the Titanic. Within an hour and a half, they lost contact with that little submersible. And then 5 days later, they said, they were about to run out of oxygen on Thursday. They had already passed away on Sunday. They had lost contact on Sunday. They said, well, we heard possibly some banging through sonar radar. That they're possibly banging on the hole, trying to figure out, trying to ask for help. They had already been gone, and within 150 feet. We also talked about this last time too, how problematic that vessel was. Mm-hmm. How the creator of that vessel, Mr. Rush, had
skipped steps.
Yeah, he skipped a whole lot of steps in the creation of that, and he was already having issues 100 feet down when he was testing it in the Bahamas. It was already cracking. And he used carbon fiber and titanium, and he used college students to create the electronics of it. And he bought his electrical parts from Home Depot.
No, come on.
And he was using a gamer console to navigate a damn game controller to navigate the sub, man. But you got people that want to test the Most High's power and test His ability, and try to figure out how I can defy nature. And that's not where the Most High wants us at. And we found out that the Most High uses things, his elements, to conquer the proud. All right. So that was one thing we talked about last week. So the Most High said He does have in the ocean that crooked serpent in the ocean to smite who?
The proud.
The proud. Right. We're gonna keep on that note, just to keep proving that. Psalms 104. Let's read verse 25 and 26. Shalom, everybody. Shalom, family online. That's just checking in and chiming in with us. Shalom. Psalm chapter 104, verse 25 and 26. And also the point of this class is for children to be able to understand this topic, So when they read this in the Bible or you hear about it, it's not so that children can't understand it. We want the young to understand what the Most High has created. That was one of the main themes to go behind this class, is so that any and everybody can understand this. We don't make it too deep, but it will get kind of deep today, but hopefully we can get some understanding before it does. Read.
Con. Psalms chapter 104 verse 25 reads, so is the great and wide sea.
It says, so is the what?
Great and wide sea.
So the Most High said that the sea is what?
Wide, great and wide.
It's great and it's wide. We know that the ocean covers 70% of the earth. 70% of the earth is covered by water.
And it doesn't make sense. They do all this exploring on the land and going to every cave and going on holes in the earth, trying to go through the dome of the earth and go to the moon and go to Mars. But the majority of Earth hasn't been discovered.
It hasn't been discovered. There's still animals and species that they're finding every day that are brand new, that have yet to be seen, yet to be discovered, both in the Amazon and in Vietnam and in the ocean. Yes, sir.
They recently just found another fish that was like super, super big, and it was like growing up inside. It almost looked like a small. It was growing on the inside.
Yeah, that's called bioluminescence. That's when fish create their own light, because it's so deep and so dark down at the bottom of the ocean that they create their own light. They're just like a firefly. A light bug, creates its own light through bioluminescence. It has its chemicals that create light. So they create their own light. Squid do it. Octopus do it. Anglerfish do it. You know, there's a variety of fish, sea creatures that create their own light underwater. Yes, sir.
They explore less than 5% of the ocean.
Yeah.
To the moon.
Well, we'll get to that point too. Yeah. But we know that fulfills prophecy though. He said, "Once thou set thy nest amongst the stars," he said, "Then shall I bring thee down," said the Lord. You know, so right now you got Chinese rovers and lunar rovers. You got Japan talking about they want to do core drilling on the moon as well.
Oh my God.
You know, they want to drill minerals on the moon. But you know, you got man that wants to conquer the Most High's creation. But the Most High said, listen, the sea is what?
Great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable.
They said there's things creeping what?
Innumerable.
So can you count what's in the ocean?
No.
Can you classify and create a decalogue or an encyclopedia of all the oceanic creatures?
You can try, but you gonna do it.
You can't do it. You know, it took 8 months just for cameras to map the area around the Titanic. For them to map the Titanic of where it fell and how it fell on the seafloor and how the beams bent, how it split in half. It took 8 months for camera equipment using deep technology and sonar just to map that little small section of where the Titanic fell at. 8 months just to map that out. You haven't even touched the bottom of the ocean yet. That's not even the deepest point. That was only a mere 12,000 feet below. You haven't even gone 25,000 feet below. You don't even know what's at the bottom of those areas. You haven't sat in ravines and what the Most High calls he calls it the pillars of the ocean, the gates and the doors of the ocean. You haven't even been to that area where the springs come from. You know, so we haven't even begun to see what's happening on the ocean, on the bottom. He said it's things what?
Innumerable.
Come, wherein are things creeping innumerable,
Go ahead.
both small and great beasts.
It says there are a little box jellyfish will kill you.
Yeah.
You ever seen that? You ever seen a box jellyfish? They little. They tiny. They tiny little jellyfish, little box jellyfish.
And it's real painful if you get stung by it, right?
Yeah, I can't say I've gotten stung by the box jellyfish,
Okay.
but I've gotten stung by a jellyfish.
Painful.
Very painful. Had me running out the water, screaming. It feels like somebody. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even lying, bro. It feels like somebody stabbed you. I got stung in the thigh.
Oh.
It feels like somebody took a knife and stabbed me in the leg with a knife. It's
a common jellyfish,
It's
though.
really painful, bro. I'm talking about really, really painful.
I've heard.
And it's quick too. You know, before you notice it, you already got it.
Wow.
But the little box jellyfish will kill you. There's small little creatures that'll destroy you in the ocean. The sea serpent kill you in the ocean. Little small sea snake will kill you. There's poisonous little urchins that if you step on, you step on, they'll penetrate your foot and kill
Oh
you.
my God! You see that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
On the seacoast?
Yeah, just on the sand.
Out of here. Bro.
Yeah, you can be walking on the beach.
No way.
They got a little urchin that'll stick up and poke you in the foot and kill you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
You
not
know,
cool, bro.
so he said there's things innumerable in the ocean, small and what?
And great beasts.
We haven't even seen. They just finally captured a picture of the giant squid. Just pictures of it. only because a damn sperm whale had half of the tentacle in his mouth.
They eat those things.
They eat them, but they gotta dive deep to go get them.
Wow.
And they're one of the few whales that can dive deep enough to get a deep sea sperm whale, giant sperm whale. I mean, giant squid, huge, 18 feet long arms.
18 feet. That's like 2 basketball goals.
Yeah, God. So we haven't even explored the ocean to understand what the Most High has created. But the Most High said He got something in the ocean to smite the proud,
To check them out.
to keep them in check. Read on.
Both small and great beasts. There go the ships. There's that Leviathan.
He says, there go the ships. There goes that what?
Leviathan,
There goes that Leviathan. What is Leviathan for? Read.
whom thou hast made to play therein.
So the Most High has made Leviathan to do what?
Play therein.
To play with what?
Ships.
To play with them ships.
That
right?
must be, but you gotta be powerful to play with the great vessel.
Yeah.
This is all like little boats. It didn't say boat. It
Yeah.
said ship.
You know, many people say that, you know, they hit an iceberg. The Titanic hit an iceberg. You know, my Waller brought it up last week. My Waller was excited. He brought the pictures out. You know, Godzilla. He brought the Godzilla pictures out. But he showed that. But when you actually read about the Titanic, it was a 200 feet gash on the side of the Titanic.
What?
200 feet gash on the side of the Titanic. They said, as a matter of fact, we're going to just read this real quick. Now, you also said that, I think you brought out that it was said that not even God could sink the Titanic.
Yeah. It was a quote back then that even God can destroy this.
Now,
This shit.
well, I had to do a little research because I'm not going to say that that's what they said. But
I heard the same thing though.
But it was in the movie. Hollywood did say that. They did say that not even God could sink the Titanic. But I want to get a little bit more on where that came from. All right.
You know, it's something funny.
Read this right here.
If they did,
I got you.
wrong for that.
I thought you
Right,
were
the
an
statement,
employee.
right?
Yeah.
The statement, "Not even God can sink the Titanic," is often attributed to a Titanic crew member named Philip Franklin, who reportedly made the comment to a passenger before the ship departure. However, there's no definitive proof that Franklin actually said these words, and it is possibly that the quote was simply a myth or misattribution.
Right. So they said that it could be true. It could not be true. But remember, out of the 2,500 passengers, 15 went down in the water. 1,500 of those 2,500 went down in the water. So it's possible that they said it, or maybe they didn't say it. But what they did say, though, what they did call it was they called it the unsinkable. They said it was practically unsinkable by who? Read that right there. The liner.
The liner, in many ways, state of art for the day, and trumpeted.
It says the liner, in many ways, they said it was state of the art for the day, for that time, late 1800s, early 1900s. I believe it sank in 1914. Go ahead.
And trumpeted by her owners.
It says trumpeted by her owners. So this is what they know for sure that the owners and the builders of this ship did say. Go ahead.
The press and others as quote unquote practically unsinkable.
So what we do know is that they said that this ship was practically what?
Unsinkable.
So whether they said that it was God, not even God could sink this ship, whether they had enough pride to say that, who knows? That's up for conjecture. But what we do know that they did say that this ship is practically what?
Unsinkable.
So now we know that that's a lie because where is it sitting at now?
At the bottom.
It's sitting at the bottom of the ocean. So we know that that wasn't true. Read on.
Struck an iceberg
That's what they say. It struck an iceberg. Read.
south of the Grand Banks and went down in 2 hours, 40 minutes, taking more than 1,500 people with
So that thing sank in 2 hours and what?
40 minutes.
40 minutes. So the problem though that they found with that is the fact that in that 2 hours and 40 minutes, they didn't have enough lifeboats for the passengers on the ship. So even if it did sink slow, It wasn't enough boats for everybody to get.
They didn't plan this
They
right
didn't
out.
prepare.
That wasn't prepared out.
They weren't prepared to save everybody on the ship anyway.
It wasn't needed, according to them.
Caught up in their escape.
They got caught in their pride,
Yeah.
feeling like, you know what? Maybe we don't need that many lifeboats because it's practically unsinkable.
Yeah.
Read that right there.
Right here. Titanic was built with a double bottom, but not a double hull. Hull. It had watertight bulkheads, but they didn't all go all the way to the top of the hull. Hull. These omissions doomed.
It says these things that they left out, the things that they failed to consider. These omissions, same thing that the guy that built the damn Titan little submersible, he omitted a lot of things. They didn't consider everything. Same thing with the Titanic. These omissions, go ahead.
These omissions doomed the ship after a 200-foot gash was torn in its starboard side below the waterline by a spur projecting from the iceberg.
They said they call it a spur projecting from the iceberg.
Never heard of that before.
You ever heard that?
A spur projecting from
It
iceberg.
was the Spurs.
It's like I was San Antonio
It's San
Spurs.
Antonio Spurs. They say a spur projecting from the iceberg. You don't even who can say that's true or not?
They weren't even there to say that.
You know, to say that the spur coming from the iceberg sliced the boat. We know that's up for, you know,
It's
conjecture.
a super sharp piece of ice.
Yeah, just a piece of ice just
Slid
came
right
off
in
the
it.
edge. Was just sitting on the side of an iceberg. Yes, sir.
So that's like they said, like even God couldn't sink it, but that's like I don't know exactly what verse it is, but you know the one where to find it at, but I remember it, but I don't remember it. But they're like, let God be the truth and every man the life.
Yeah, that's in Romans.
It's sick man. They said it couldn't, but he did make it fall. So
Right.
if it proves that man is alive, but God is the truth.
Right,
Most
because
High is the truth.
because what they did say, though, we do know for sure they did say it's practically unsinkable. Well, the Most High said, hold my drink. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, hold that. I need to see about that. So you know, we know that the Most High created these extremely powerful creatures to check people's pride, to check the pride of man. All right, we do know that, right?
Weather too, right?
Say it again.
Weather too.
Weather also.
So you probably knew about it. Froze the ice way back when. Broke it off just in time, just to beat that ship.
Anything is possible. Just like the we read last class, part 2 of this, how the weathermen, the storm chasers, created a vehicle called the Dominator,
Oh yeah,
and it was basically like a little tank on wheels, you know.
that couldn't be stopped.
And that EF5 tornado dominated the Dominator, and it tore the roof off of it, and everybody inside was dead.
Wow.
So it dominated the Dominator. So, and they found that twisted up.
Wow.
So, and yeah. So just the Most High checks man's pride constantly on a regular basis, on a daily basis. All right. So read that part again, my woman.
There go the ships. There is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein.
It says the Most High. Now, whether that Leviathan is a whale, some say that Leviathan is possibly a whale. Some say it's a serpent. We know it's part of the serpent family because he calls it a serpent. He calls it a sea creature. Some say that it's possibly a dinosaur of an ancient source. So there's a lot of sources that say different things about what exactly is that Leviathan. But we know it has a purpose, and we know it operates off the commands of the Most High.
You know that.
We know it's to check pride. All right. Let that go, and let's go to the next verse to show that even further. Job 41:34.
Job chapter 41, verse 34.
Read that.
Job chapter 41, verse 34. He beholdeth all high things.
It says, Leviathan beholdeth what?
All high things.
That high is proud. So the Most High created creatures to check the pride of man. That creature, that serpent, that crooked serpent, that sea monster, his purpose is to check all high things, all things made out of pride. Read.
It says, he is a king over all the children of pride.
So the Most High said he made Leviathan to be what?
He is a king over all the children of pride.
What? So what does that mean? What does that mean?
If you have pride, then provide me with
Yeah. The Most High created creatures to keep you in submission,
you in check.
to keep you subservient, to keep you humble. The king means the one that reigns supreme. So, to have dominion. So, when you get in that ocean and you think that you have this multi-billion-dollar vessel that's unsinkable, the largest and the greatest of its kind, the Most High will put that thing underwater. The Most High have that thing caught in a tempest, in a storm. The Most High will prove the quality of that vessel to show man that you can't create something that could defy me. Because it still goes back to what? Nimrod.
Yep.
And the Tower of Babel. Creating a tower to defy the Most High. So same thing with that, we talked about that Hindenburg, that Zeppelin, that German hydrogen blimp.
And we don't go into it enough, but we always see old black and white films with it floating in the air on its own fire.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what that Led Zeppelin, the music group, that's where they got that from. But that was a real disaster. But then again, why would you be up in the air in a balloon made out of highly flammable gas?
Smoke a cigar.
Smoking cigars, looking down on the rest of the civilization.
On the poor.
Yeah, but you're sitting in a pontoon, a hydrogen pontoon that's floating. You're in a gas bubble, and you want to light a smoke in a gas bubble.
That's stupid.
I can't help but laugh, man. I can't help but laugh because man will do anything just to say it's never been done, and to say he's on the verge of cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
And it's a never before seen situation. You know, he wants to pat himself on the back and say, "Look what I've created. Look what I can do. Look at what my hands have built. Look at what my mind has conjured." Man is always trying to do something edgy.
Yeah.
And it falls and it fails. You know what I'm saying? At all times. But that's man. That's man for you. But let's read that. Let that go in Job chapter 41 verse 34. And next reader, let's go to Amos chapter 9 verse 3. All this is a recap, and then we'll get on to the rest of this class. This is a recap of the things that we did discuss last week. All right. Let's go to Amos chapter 9 verse 3.
Amos chapter 9 verse 3. It says,
Yes, sir.
and though they hide themselves at the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them.
Right. So he said what?
And he
At the
shall
top
bite
of Mount Carmel.
So whether you hide in a mountain,
Wow.
whether you climb into space, when you read the whole verse 1 through 3, he said no matter where you are, if you got pride, if you decide to go to the bottom of the ocean, the Most High said he'll call his serpent. And that's so the Most High got creatures on call, they're on standby. And the one in particular that's on standby that he's mentioning to Job is Leviathan, which some people call, based on the characteristics, Godzilla or Kaijun. Kai what? Kaijus. Gojira. All these Japanese words, bro. Yeah.
You must be saying them out.
Yes, sir. Well, just my opinion, based on what I've read, I think it's something that we have yet to see, that we can't declare and sketch and create and make it a cartoon or movie. I think it is something that is very large, that has the ability to it talks about, we're not going to read all of Job 41, but when you read Job 41, all of it talks about having the ability to sleep on the rocks, to sleep on the mire. Meaning it sleeps on the floor. And so it says, And the Most High asked Job, are you bold enough to dare wake him up? Can you stir him up? So he has to be stirred up. So he's on call. He's on command by the Most High. I don't know. I can't say it is a whale. I will say this: multiple dictionaries, encyclopedias, definitions say he's an aquatic crocodile.
Yeah, they have a model of an animal of such.
Right, there is, but the crocodile
I mean,
is found in certain areas. Now you have the saltwater crocodile, then you have the freshwater crocodile. Now the ones that are large are said to be the Nile crocodiles. But when you look at ancient crocodiles, you have crocodiles. One in particular is called the Deinosuchus. Pull it up on your phone real quick. Deinosuchus, Deino Suchus, Suchus. And I want you to read. I want you to read his size, and I want you to read his dimensions. And he's not even the largest, but he's one of the largest crocodiles that's been found in South America, in Mexico, and also there's a larger one than that is said to be found in South America, in Brazil, particularly the Amazon. That's larger than that particular dinosaur. Let's read that right there.
The Deinosuchus was far larger than any modern crocodile or alligator.
It says far larger than what?
Any modern crocodile or alligator.
Go ahead.
With the largest adults measuring 10.6 meters, which is 35 feet, in total length.
35 feet is longer than your school bus.
That's, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm looking for more. This is says it goes the physical appearance of biology. Deinosuchus was 12 to 15 meters, 40 to 50.
It says 12 to 15 meters.
So that's even larger.
That's even larger. 12 to 15 meters is 49 feet. That's almost 50 feet.
That's crazy.
That's a 50-foot crocodile is insane. But they found skeletons of it, and that's how they're able to know.
They have bones of that.
They have bones of that. They have bones, just like you got the what's that big ass shark? The damn megalodon. The megalodon shark. They got where they put the whole family in the portrait of the open jaws of the megalodon shark, and the teeth keep washing up on the beach. They're like 6 centimeters tall, or 6 inches tall. The teeth.
Yeah.
So you got pictures of the megalodon where whole families are posing in between the jaws of it.
Yeah.
So there is creatures that the Most High created that far exceed the normal average creatures that we see today. You know, simply by their skeletons. Now this Deinosuchus is said to be, through skeletal remains, is said to be upwards of almost 49 feet. That's 50 feet long, a crocodile. That's like a dinosaur, bro. That would be classified as a dinosaur. Matter of fact, no, these are different sizes. That's an alligator in Mississippi. That's a Mississippi alligator. And it's showing you the comparison. Maybe we can get this on the computer.
Email it to me.
No, you might want to. Is this Apple?
Yeah.
You might be able to airdrop it then. So
share. It says Facebook, Twitter.
Remember, I was in high school. Like we had a ropes course. We had a ropes course that you have to climb up 50 feet just to do the zip line scenario, and just to climb up 50 feet in the air took about 10 minutes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Bro, looking down, that was a terrifying sight. I can't imagine a crocodile standing straight up and down.
50 feet long. But that's. Let me see if I can.
I can't even imagine that sight.
Y'all seen that movie Lake Placid?
What's that, bro?
Yeah, that's a big crocodile. Big crocodile.
No, there's been crocodiles found in Africa.
But there was a bear about to kill this woman.
Okay, I do got one picture up here. Let me see if I can get this up here. All right, if you can go online right now, you can see a replica of this skull being sold. This is a replica being sold for $6,500.
That's just a replica.
That's just a replica. But those other small skulls are modern crocodiles compared to the other one, to the one we're talking about. If you go online, you can see it now. Can y'all see that? Yeah, so that's a man standing behind that prehistoric dinosaur crocodile that they found in Mexico and in South America.
11,000
Yeah.
pounds.
The how many pounds is it?
Oh, it said 9 to 10 toners, but I said 11,000 pounds.
So it said it would weigh 11,000 pounds. So this is just what we know as what some people say, because it is. We know it's a serpent, so we know it's a reptile. We know it has scales, and the scales are very impenetrable. We know it brings fear on people immediately. And you can hear about regular saltwater crocodiles eating man up, regular alligators eating man up. I mean, and all over, from the Cayman crocodiles attack man, freshwater alligators. You read about the dude that he was running for the police in Florida, in Orlando. And man, I wish you could send that to me. I'm gonna see if I can airdrop it over here. You hear about the man that was running from the police, and he jumped in a ditch in Florida, and an alligator grabbed him and bit his face up, his arms up,
Done deal.
and then he was able to break away from it. So he's all stitched up on his mug shot. He got caught by the police after that, and his mug shot, he got stitches all in his head.
And you know, Dave, them cops went to chase Sean Swan and still had a case waiting for him.
Yeah, yeah, facts.
From the Most High.
Okay, so let me turn that off. Okay, so that's just an example of what history and what ancient reports of what this Leviathan could be. It could be something of the saltwater family that's 50 feet long, but we also know it's probably larger than that.
Yeah.
You know, these are just probabilities of what it is. Just in my opinion, it could be of the crocodile, based on what we've been reading. All right, there's more greater pictures that Dawiyad and the brothers got. I just haven't been able to, just airdrop them to this computer yet. But as they come in, we'll bring them online. All right. So read that part one more time at the end of Amos chapter 9, verse 3.
Amos chapter 9, verse 3 from the top. And though they hide themselves on top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence.
You hear about that whale that swallowed up the little kayakers?
Yeah.
He opened his mouth and swallowed the people on the kayak.
He let him back out.
Yeah, he spit him back out.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah, but Jonah.
yeah.
He let him back out.
Yeah, he spit him out, but he swallowed the kayak and the people in it like it was nothing. The whole boat.
But he was coming up for food, and they were just in his food.
It was at the wrong place at the right time.
That's the problem.
Well, they said if you ain't right, the Most High get you and spill you right back out as if you.
No, we're not gonna. If you can prove it, if you got the scripture, say it. All right then. Hold it there. We don't want to just say things that ain't from the scriptures. So, Amos 9 verse 3 one more time.
Yeah, Amos 9, verse 3. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search
Man, I wish you
take
could
them out
give me the
thence.
pictures, bro.
And though they be hid
Should
from
have
my
worked out like
sight
that.
at the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them.
So we know that the Leviathan will bite on the Most High's commands, and that Leviathan has a purpose. His purpose is to revenge man's pride. All right. So we understand that, and then we have to understand also, more importantly, why the Most High is showing Leviathan in the book of Job. We have to deal with that also. Why is the book of Job bringing out Leviathan and these so-called mythical creatures that the Most High has on reserve to revenge man's pride? You send it to the email? Okay. Let me see. Actually, send it to my phone, and then I could probably airdrop it to this.
That's a good point.
So
Okay, John.
yeah. So you gotta ask yourself, why are we reading about Leviathan in the first place out of the book of Job? Why is the Most High declaring Leviathan as one of his creatures that he has on reserve to Job in the first place? Let's go to Job chapter 41, verse 1 through 9 real quick. Yep.
Job chapter 41, verse 1 reads, Canst thou draw out Leviathan?
So he's asking Job, can you go to the water and draw out Leviathan? Read.
With a hook,
Go ahead.
or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down?
So you gonna put a fish head on a hook and catch Leviathan with a fish head?
You're not finna do that. Maybe a shark.
Yeah. Yeah, you can catch a shark or sailfish, but you're not gonna catch Leviathan with no hook. Go ahead.
I'll send you some.
Okay.
Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn?
Go ahead.
Will he make any supplication unto thee?
Will he beg you to let him go?
Oh, man.
Man.
He's not finna do that.
Read.
Will he speak soft words unto thee?
Is he gonna say?
You gonna humble down that?
Me, like a little animal? Is he gonna squirm and try to get away, like a little piglet? Read.
Will he make a covenant with thee?
He said, if you let me go, I won't bite you. Right? Read.
Wilt thou take him for a servant forever?
Are you gonna put him in a cage and you gonna make him a pet?
As a domestic.
You gonna domesticate him? Read on.
Wilt thou play with him as with a bird?
Just like you gonna play with him, you gonna put him on your lap, but you gonna put him on your shoulder like a bird land on your shoulder and you talk to him and you feed him.
Oh, not gonna happen.
You give him a cracker.
That's awesome.
You gonna put him on your shoulder, let him play like a little toy. Read on.
Or wilt thou bind him for thy maiden?
Are you gonna use him as a pet for your wife? You know what you buy your wife? You buy your wife a Yorkie. Your little Yorkie, them little small dogs.
Yeah.
That's what you get your wife. You get a little lap dog,
Those French bulldogs.
French bulldog, a little terrier, T-poodle. You get your little what them call the damn
Nah.
Chihuahuas, teacup Chihuahuas.
Come on.
Yeah, you gonna put. That's what you buy your woman. You buy your woman a little dogs.
Fit the purse out.
Yeah, Philip. They got the purse to go with the dog. Yeah, Shih Tzu, the little dog with the little afros.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna get the Leviathan and you gonna make him a commodity and almost a little fashion trinket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you gonna do that for your wife? Guess what? I got you, baby. I got you, Leviathan.
Exactly.
This ain't no lie. My wife asked me for a Yorkie, and I bought her a pit bull. That ain't even no lie. I got it for the low.
Yorkies are cheap out.
Hey, Yorkies. Hey, I couldn't afford that Yorkie, man.
Yeah, Yorkie run up.
But you know what? And pit bulls, even when they little, they got a little fur on them. They look cute.
Yeah.
Until they get big. Yeah. Then it's like, what is this? There ain't no Yorkie. I had to buy some time.
Oh, she didn't know.
She didn't know. No, she didn't know what it was. I had to buy some time. After about 6 months, that dog got so big, she fell in love with it by then. She had to keep it. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I couldn't afford that, man. Them Yorkies be going for $1,500.
Yeah.
I had 150.
You can
Anyway.
get a pit, baby.
You get it? Yeah. I ain't tell her what it was. But that's a little sneak attack. But he said, you're not gonna do this for the maidens, man. You're not gonna do this for the maidens. Read on.
Verse 6. Shall the companions make a banquet of him?
So can your friends gonna part them up and roast and have barbecue Leviathan?
Wow.
No, you're not.
Wow.
Read.
Shall they part him among the merchants?
You gonna roast him? You gonna sell him? You gonna split his body up? Read on.
Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons,
Go ahead.
or his head with fish spears?
But
Really?
he's impenetrable.
He's impenetrable. Showing you that whatever his scales are, it says that his scales are tightly sealed. This thing is a dragon. This is a real sea monster. This is a real sea creature that you can't penetrate with no arrows.
And this is why he can go so deep in the ocean.
Yep. It says not
Pressure
even
can't
air. It says not even air can go between his scales, bro. It's airtight.
That's crazy.
So there's no chink or weakness in his armor. Read on.
Lay thy hand upon him, or remember the battle.
It says, lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Go ahead.
Do no more.
Go ahead.
Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him?
There's no hope playing with Leviathan. There's no hope for
No
you
escape out.
when Leviathan appears to you. So why is the Most High asking Job all these questions? Read verse 10.
Verse 10. None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me?
Read that last part again. Read that verse
Oh
again.
my God!
Who then is able?
No, read verse 10 again.
Come. Verse 10. None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me?
So what is the Most High showing by this verse right here in verse 10?
He'll squash Leviathan like a break.
Yes, sir. Yes. What he said is, you can't handle my creation.
My pet.
So how are you going to handle me? Why would you have enough pride? You don't even have enough courage to stand up to what I've created. And it's hopeless when you do. How much are you going to stand up against me? I created Leviathan and you can't do nothing with him. How are you going to do something with me? You know what the Most High is doing? He's checking that pride of who? Job.
Pride, yeah.
He's checking Job's pride. This is the Most High checking Job's pride, because sometimes man gets beside himself because they got to be put in perspective. They got to be put back in perspective. And that's what the Most High is doing right here. He's putting Job back in his place. He's reminding Job of how limited Job is in his power scope and his scope of influence. You don't have a lot of power. You're limited. You can't handle my creation. This is why the Most High is doing this. Ecclesiastes chapter 39. 38, 1 through 4.
You can't hand one of my little ones.
Yeah, you can't. I'm going to let my little homies ride on you, like Tupac said. Outlaws go get them. I want you to get Ecclesiastes chapter 38, verse 1.
Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38, verse 1.
That was a diss track. The first diss track. And we got Leviathan on you. Man. All right, let's read that.
Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38, verse 1. Honor a physician.
No, I'm sorry. 39, I'm sorry.
Ecclesiastes.
Whoa. Wait a minute. My apologies. I want to get straight to this point. We're going to come back to Ecclesiastes. Not yet. We're going to come back. Let's go to Job first. 38, verse 1.
Job.
Let me fix that.
Chapter 38, verse 1.
Go ahead and read that.
Job, chapter 38, verse 1. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind.
So it says Job, the Most High came to Job in a what?
Whirlwind.
Now we know the whirlwind biblically is also known as a what?
Chariot.
As a chariot. It's a chariot. What we call
Unidentified flying
a UFO to man without knowledge. And a flying object that you cannot identify. But we know the Most High appears in a variety of things which we know as chariots. Whirlwinds, flying rolls, wheels,
horses,
burning wheels, horses of fire, chariots of fire, in fire enfolding itself, clouds, wheel inside of a wheel, so-called stars. Yes, these are all vehicles of the Most High. And the last class, and I might as well say it now, the last class is the vehicle of the Most High. And how does he operate? Because the scriptures say that the Most High operates off of seraphims and cherubims, that he lifts up himself, and these are winged angelic creatures that the Most High uses as vehicles, and they carry his throne where he wants. But we'll get to that too. That's another point. We'll say that for last. But because those are his creatures too. All right. So read on.
It says, Job answered, and the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge?
This is how you know that the Most High is checking Job. He said, who is this man that's darkening counsel with words without what?
Knowledge.
What he's doing is he's telling Job, you don't know enough to make a statement with my name. You can't say my name and have understanding about me and the totality of me. He's checking it. Read.
Verse 3. Gird up now thy loins like a man,
Go ahead.
for I will demand of thee. Answer thou me.
He said, man, stand up like a man, and I'm going to ask you some questions. And I want some answers. So when I ask you these questions, you better give me some answers. This is how the Most High is talking to Job, because Job's mouth has got him in trouble. Speaking about the Most High with unknown knowledge. You don't know enough to question the Most High. You don't know enough to speak on the Most High.
With the murmuring and the complaining for all the
He was just trying to speak on God's behalf as if he understands the Most High. And the Most High heard him, and now the Most High is coming back and saying, listen, I got some questions for you, and I want some answers. Stand up and give me these answers. Read on.
Job chapter 38, verse 4. Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth?
Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Where was you at? How can you ask? But he said he wanted an answer. So I want an answer. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Read on.
Declare if thou hast understanding.
Since you got so much understanding, then give me an answer. Y'all see what's going on right here? Verse 16.
Job chapter 38, verse 16. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea?
There you go. He said, "You been to the bottom of the ocean? You give me the source where the ocean comes from. Can you determine? Scientists just say that they found an ocean beneath the crust of the earth.
Yeah.
Pull it up. They said the ocean that's within the crust of the earth is larger than the ocean that we know.
Nah.
Yes. I like the way you said that though. Say that again.
Well, I was gonna say that they kind of showed it on that movie Man, where there's an ocean underneath the ocean.
But they just said they found another ocean within the crust. Yes.
It's called underwater lake.
Yeah. Well, it's just a report that just came out a couple months ago. So they found another ocean within the Earth's crust.
Now that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story right there.
So we don't even
Within
know.
the Earth's crust.
Yeah, we don't even know where the oceans begin. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the guy who did a documentary on it, like after you released it,
Yeah, killed him.
he got killed in like a helicopter crash.
How convenient.
He got killed because he wasn't supposed to report it. But he has documented visual footage of that there's a lake on the bottom of the ocean. And it makes sense that there's a lake on the bottom of the ocean because the water, he said he divided the waters from the waters. But the waters are based off of saline. So different amounts of salt so that they don't blend like oil and water don't mix.
Right.
Because of the density, that lake under the water won't blend with the ocean water because there's a different level of density based off the saline and the salt.
Yeah.
So it was crazy,
like you said, salt water we know is more buoyant than regular water. That's why I say we all know where the Dead Sea is at, you know. And the Dead Sea is so much salt in the Dead Sea that they said it's almost impossible to drown in the Dead Sea because
awesome.
the salt keeps you afloat. People put chairs in the water, just regular chairs, and they go in the Dead Sea and they float. If you drown in the Dead, you want to die. You gotta
swim down.
You gotta swim down because it's so buoyant that it keeps you afloat automatically. So I understand what you're saying as far as different layers based upon the saline content of that water. I could see that. I could really see that. But like I said, we're just bringing this out to show that the question that the Most High is asking Job is, man, you don't know what I've created and you don't know how I created it. You weren't there from the beginning. Verse 19 one more time, or 16.
Job chapter 38, verse 16. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea? Or hast thou walked in the search of the depth?
So have you been down to the bottom of the ocean? Obviously, Job don't have no answers for that.
No.
But only the Most High can answer that. And these chapters, the Most High has to restore some humility back into Job by some simple questions that he can't even answer. Verse 33. That's why we're not reading all of it.
Right here.
We're just getting the...
Scientists discover massive ocean beneath Earth's crust, bigger than all the seas above land.
Boom.
Hey, that's a new one right there, bro.
Yeah. So it's showing you that we don't even know what the how many oceans there are. We say 7 seas. We don't even know what's going on below the earth.
It says pre-Jurassic Ocean discovered
Pre-Jurassic Ocean.
near the Earth's core. Oh, that's
Come on,
crazy, bro.
There's probably animals in there.
So we do know that when it did flood during the time of Noah, the Most High said He opened the springs
That's true.
above and below. So there's torrential streams that come out the sky, and there's streams and springs that come out the water. He said He opened the fountains of the deep. Brother, there's fountains that we know nothing about. That's why the Most High has to tell Job, can you answer this? Verse 33.
Job chapter 38, verse 33. Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven?
He says, do you know the rotations of the heavens? Do you know how the Most High has set up the celestial bodies in heaven? Do you know their rotation? Do you know their orbit? You know their dimensions? You know their cycles? Read on.
Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth?
Do you have power on earth to control anything? Do you really have power on earth to control anything? That's what the Most High is asking Job. Hold that real quick. And I want you to get Ecclesiastes. Now you Ecclesiastes. I want you to get chapter 10, verse 9 real quick. Just a precept on this point. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 9.
You think that water is part of the firmament?
No, the firmament is the ozone layer. And the firmament created in Genesis, that firmament, which is the waters under the waters, that firmament, he divided the waters from the waters. That firmament is what we call the ozone layer, which is made up of different isotopes and different elements. Some of the elements are made up of hydrogen, some of helium. They're made up of different gases. That's why they float differently. Same thing that Dawiyah is bringing out, how water below the earth has a different saline constitution. So when you go, it's certain times. If you ever been, I don't know if you've been in the ocean and you kind of go a little far out. The water's warm.
Yeah.
And then you can go so far out that when you swim down, it's like an invisible layer.
Right.
The water drops drastically from warm water. It's almost like the warm water is sitting on top of the cold water.
Right.
And you could stick your foot in it, you can put your hand in it, and it's a different color and it's a different temperature.
Right.
And you can pull your hand back out and it's warm. And then you can stick your hand in that water. It's like a visible wall. And it's separated like a thin layer.
Right.
And you can stick your hand down in it and it's like, man, you can feel the cold. It's a different temperature.
Right.
And then you can pull it right back up to about 75 degrees. You can stick your hand in that sub-level of water. It's like 50 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the Most High created that, you can tell that in ocean water, the Most High also created that in the heavens. That's why we're able to breathe a certain percent oxygen, certain percent helium, certain percent nitrogen. But when you go up in the atmosphere, in the ozone layer, so to speak, you got the stratosphere, you got the mesosphere, you got the troposphere, you got the ionosphere. We had a class on this, 3 heavens, right? Y'all remember that class we had on this? These are different atmospheres that have different pressures and they do different things.
My teacher used to tell me, well, the sky is blue because of the reflection off the ocean. And I used to say, well, we ain't over no ocean. Why is it blue? But that's that water up there, huh?
Hold on 1 second. Let me get this point right quick. I'm gonna get this point just because you brought that out.
I don't know.
No, I want you to.
But they told me.
Yeah, I heard the
It
same
was
thing.
a reflection off the ocean.
Hold on 1 second.
I'm like, hey man, what about over here? We ain't over no ocean.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, read them atmospheres.
Exosphere, which is 800 to 3,000 kilometers, where the spaceship and satellite's supposed to be. Then there's the thermosphere, which is 80 to 90 to 800 kilometers. What's for the aoras, or like you see the color changing.
Auroras.
Auroras.
Oh, Lord.
They're supposed to be in the thermosphere, the mesosphere, which is the meteorological rockets. That's where they go, 40 to 50 to 80 to 90 kilometers. Then you have the stratosphere, which is where I guess weather balloons, and it's 11 to 50 kilometers. Then you have the troposphere. It's where the hot air balloons and passenger planes fly, which is 12 to 18 kilometers going up.
Wow.
So it's for the spheres.
There is so
Past
much
where airplanes can go.
above 30,000 feet.
It's amazing, bro. You think when you're in a plane, you're going high. You think
I think you up there.
oh, look at me, I'm above the clouds. I'm in an airplane right here. There's so many different
That's different layers.
spheres
now.
above.
You can get in a regular plane, and once you get above the clouds, that's where the planes like to fly because they're more stable. There's less currents and less turbulence. They like to go above the clouds, and once you break through the clouds, it's like you're sitting on snow.
Yeah.
You know, you've been up. That's why planes like to fly right in that little sweet spot where they're not running into any turbulence. Yes, sir.
Some astronauts explained when they were like taking off and breaking through a certain level of atmosphere, they feel their resistance. It's almost like a rubber band. Like they have to puncture through it in order to get next to the next level of atmosphere. They can get reach resistance.
So, read that right there one more time. Let me see if I can find this verse real quick. Yeah, read that one more time.
Now, Ecclesiastes 10 verse 9. Why is the earth and ashes proud? There is.
He said, now, understand what he's saying right here. He said, you're in Ecclesiastes, right?
Yeah.
Read that one more time.
Why is the earth and ashes proud?
Remember, he's checking Job. What is the Most High called man? He called him earth and ashes. He said, why the hell do you got an opinion? You only made out of earth and ashes. Why do you have an opinion? Why do you got something to say about me and how I do things? What made your opinion so important? You're only made up of dirt and ashes.
This clay.
Why would you have something to say? So we got to understand how the Most High look at man. And he's asking that question, why the hell is man so damn proud? You're only made up of some damn carbon, some damn elements with a limited lifespan. So why should man have an opinion when it comes to the Most High? That's why the Most High has to check Job the way he's checking him. Because we don't know enough to question the Most High. We don't know enough to question the Most High's doing. Why does he do what he does? Who are we to ask the Most High any questions? Or to question his operations? The best thing that we can do as men is be humble. And follow instructions. That's the best thing we can do. So this is why he's checking Job, what seems like a damn tongue lashing. He's checking Job's pride. Because if you don't check man's pride, man's own opinion will get him in trouble. Alright? So let's go back to Job and read that one more time. Job 38 and 33. And then we're going to come back to, and we're going to jump up to Job 39. Read that.
Job chapter 38, verse 33.
Read that.
It says, knowest thou the ordinances of heaven?
They said, do you know the operations of heaven? Well, Job ain't got no answer for this. We don't even have no answer for this. Read on.
Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth?
Do you really have power in earth? Do you really have control in earth like you think you do? You could be bit by a bee tomorrow and go into an allergic reaction. And your throat, you could eat something and your throat close up.
Yeah.
Temperature can change and you in trouble. You can have a heat stroke. You don't have power like you think you do. That's why I say, do you have dominion? Is asking that question. This is why the Most High has to deal with Job the way he's dealing with him. Now go to Job 39 and read verse 9.
Job chapter 39, verse 9. It says, will the unicorn...
Stop. The word unicorn is what?
One Corn or horn, right?
It's well, one corn, right? One horn. Unicorn. But the unicorn is said to be what? Mythical.
Yeah.
So, but we got to understand: is it really mythical, or is it prehistoric, or is it something that the Most High really created?
Well, he's saying it right here.
So we know that unicorn. Remember, the topic of the class is the Most High's creatures. We read that the Most High did make a creature, and it is known as a unicorn, right? He has power in his horn, right? Or not necessarily Pegasus, because Pegasus is Greek, and Pegasus don't have a horn. It's just a horse with wings. He doesn't necessarily have he don't necessarily have a horn.
I just remember back in the day, the older movies, they had a horse with a horn and some wings. That was VHS.
Read this right here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It says
The Greeks.
the Greeks considered unicorns part of the natural world rather than of myth.
So even the Greeks said, man, the unicorns are real. But the Greeks had philosophy. But read on.
Are there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep reading.
Ctesias, in his work Inkada, or On India, described an animal, possibly from Iran, looking like a wild ass with a horn.
So he says that this one guy described this creature looked like a wild ass with the what?
With the horn.
So it's a wild animal with the horn. So we got to read that. We're reading that first, right? Because these are physical reports of unicorns, and then we're going to read this in the BKC. If we can grab this real quick. I want you to read this, Elijah. If you can read this real quick. And we're going to read this in the BKC page 769. Read this right here. So, he said that this guy in the Greek era said that this was a wild ox with a horn, right? I mean, a wild ass with a horn. Let's read that. And this is the BKC page 769. Read that.
Which one?
Yeah, this part right here.
Con.
In the contrast.
It says, in contrast, with setting wild donkeys free, Job could not tame a wild ox. This animal, perhaps the auroch.
It says perhaps the what?
Auroch.
Now you got to read what the auroch is, right? Auroch. The auroch is what this says that this animal probably is, this unicorn. It's classified as an animal that did exist called the auroch. Now read this right here, Dawiyat, about the auroch. A-U-R-O-C-H. A-U-R-O-C-H. Read this.
Super cow.
It says the auroch is also known as a what?
Super cow.
It calls it a super cow. This auroch is a super cow. Read on.
The size of human.
It says the size of a human. This is a cow that is reported. I'll just let you read it. Go ahead.
The size of human that went extinct 500 years ago.
So it was on the earth up until when?
500 years ago.
So in the 1500s, 1600s, it went extinct. It was on the earth. So read on.
Julius Caesar described them as.
So even during the time of the Romans, it was alive during the time of the Romans. It was in Spain. You can find it from Spain all the way to India. Julius Caesar reported and said what?
A little below the elephant.
It was only classified a little bit below the what?
The elephant.
So how big is this damn auroch that was just under the elephant in size? This is a damn super cow. Read?
In size and of the appearance, color, and shape of a bull.
Go ahead.
Their strength and speed was extraordinary.
So not only was it strong as a bull, but bigger than a bull, bigger than a man. A bull bigger than, taller than the actual man. He said, but they had speed too. Go ahead.
They spared neither man nor wild beast, which they have espied.
So it said they don't spare nobody. So you can't, they have no fear.
No.
They have no fear. And this thing is huge.
It's like an ancient buffalo, right?
Yeah, but it ain't really ancient. It only went extinct 500 years ago.
That's crazy.
I did see a film of a man next. He has a gigantic cow. I don't know if anybody saw that, but it was like that. His back was over his head. His head was right here, and his back is up here, and he's up here petting it. Somewhere in some farm.
Well, we know.
That's modern times. That's not even what they're talking about right here.
Yeah, it's probably bigger than the cow. I'm saying it's probably bigger than that cow.
This is said to have no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like a bull.
It was like a bull with horns that it was taller than a man. Read.
It says this animal, perhaps a root, resisted domestication.
It said it did what?
Resisted domestication.
So you couldn't put a plow or a harness on this bull. You couldn't saddle this bull. You couldn't use this bull to farm your land. They say he resisted what?
Domestication.
So you couldn't put him. You couldn't do nothing with him. You can't do nothing with him. He's too strong, fast, and he don't listen. You can't whip him into shape. You can't ride him and tame him. Read.
It would not serve Job or stay in his barn overnight.
You gonna keep it in your barn, bro?
It's escaping.
Nah,
It's just
he
jumping
was
the
like-
fence side.
He gonna run through the fence. You say so. The Most High is saying he's telling Job what? It says the verse 9. Read Job 39:9.
Job 39, verse 9. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee?
Is this animal that I created willing to serve you? Are you gonna put a rope on him? You gonna whip him into shape? No. Is he gonna bring you your slippers? Your morning newspaper? You gonna make him roll over? No. Read on.
Or abide by thy crib?
Or you gonna keep him next to your house? Yeah. It's a house dog, a house pet. No, bro, you can't do that with this animal. This animal's too wild, too big, too strong. This was known as the unicorn. Read that right here. The aroke.
Yeah. The Aroke is an extinct cattle species considered to be the wild ancestor of modern domestic cattle, with a shoulder height of up to 180 centimeters, 71 inches, in bulls and 61 inches in cows. It was one of the largest herbivores in the Holocene
Era. Mm-hmm.
It had massive, elongated, and broad horns that reached 31 inches in length. Wow.
So it's showing you how big this animal was, man. So he said this animal was undomesticated. You can't
cowboy this
You can't cowboy and rodeo this thing. He's not gonna be in the rodeo. It's not gonna find him at the rodeo.
Some casualties.
There's gonna be some lives lost. And he's showing you through pictures.
Wow.
You have to go into Spain and southern France. There's caves that depict these animals' existence. You got to go into what's called the Lascaux. You have to go to Lascaux, France. Lascaux. Lascaux, France. There's hundreds of caves. There's over 350 caves that have ancient pictorial drawings of cattle. And you'll find these animals in the cave drawings, so that you know they existed. And there's pictures. You can pull this up on your phone. Pull up Lascaux unicorn, and you'll find pictures of these Oroks trying to be hunted by these cave dwellers. And they depict art and paintings inside the cave where they're actually a man gets killed by one of these animals, and while he's hunting this animal. And there's over 350 caves that have these cave drawings in them that is closed off from the public, where you can find these ancient animals that existed.
This is amazing, bro. And the shape of this.
And when you pull it up, you'll see the horn coming up straight off the head of the animal. Yes, sir. Oh, you sent it? I don't know if I can get it up online, but if you can look it up, it's called the Lascaux unicorn. Lascaux. All right, and that's in France. That's in Lascaux, France. All right, and so he's showing you that these animals was alive just not too long ago. All right, these animals they weren't too far, gone. Only last 500 years or so, but they've been depicted in caves for years. All right, so now we understand that the unicorns is not just a mythical thing, but these things just don't exist now in our day and age, but they did exist. All right, so we got that. All right, and let's go to so read that one more time.
Job chapter 39, verse 9.
Read verse 10.
Job chapter 39, verse 10. Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow? Or will he harrow the valleys after thee?
So are you going to use him like you use a plow, like you use an ox to plow the ground? Are you going to use him as a tiller? Are you going to make rows? Are you going to turn over the soil with him? You're going to turn the land over with him like when you till the ground? You can't use this animal for domestication. You can't use him for household servitude. He's too big, too strong, and too wild. Read on.
Verse 11. It says, wilt thou trust him because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him?
Are you going to leave your work to him?
No.
Go ahead.
Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it into thy barn?
So you're going to use him for a workhorse or work ox? No, you can't. What he's showing Job is, I got creatures that you can't do nothing with.
Wow.
You can't do nothing with my creation, man. He's talking to Job's pride. That's why we're going here to begin with. That's why the Most High is naming all these creatures like the Leviathan. That's why the Most High is naming these creatures like the unicorn.
Because it doesn't happen in other books of the Bible. You rarely see it.
You rarely see it like that. But this is a conversation that the Most High is having with Job, because he has to remind Job, you're only earth and ashes. You don't dictate my doing. You don't even understand me. How can you even question me and what I do? You can't control my creatures that I created. You can't do nothing with them. You can't force your will on my creation. How much are you going to force your will on me? You can't do nothing with me. This is why the Most High is having this conversation, because there's a lot to be learned about what the Most High is doing with Job in this conversation. There's a lot to learn. The second thing we want to talk about, which is on the same lines, I want you to read this right here in the Matthew Henry. I want you to get page 182. Just read this part right here. Just that pink. Read that right there.
Okay. It says, the description here given of the Leviathan, a very large, strong, formidable fish or water animal, is designed yet further to convince Job of his own impotency.
It says the Most High brought up Leviathan to remind Job of his own what?
Impotency.
Meaning you're impotent, man. You're not powerful, man. You don't know what power is. You have no power. You have no control. The Most High had to bring up Leviathan to check Job. Read on.
And of the Most High's omnipotence, that he might be humbled.
That he might be what?
Humbled.
What was the purpose of this conversation?
To humble him.
To humble him, man. That's why we're reading about the unicorn. That's why we're reading about Leviathan. These are just some of the creatures the Most High created. But he had to bring out something that you can't do nothing with.
That was a little overkill, you know.
Right.
Use the tiger, man, or a lion.
But we've domesticated those. You know, Mike Tyson used to sleep with 2 tigers in his bed.
Okay, so he went above and beyond.
Yeah.
And Ham or whoever it is in Africa, they be domesticating big they're making dogs out of hyenas.
Yeah. But you got Mike Tyson had 2 white tigers that he used to play with, and he said he used to sleep with them in his bed. He said they would get jealous of each other and they would fight each other because they was fighting for position to sleep next to Mike Tyson. And then George Foreman also had tigers too. He said he had a tiger, he had to get rid of it because it attacked his brother.
Yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah, it went after his brother.
He had to and
then he went to swing at it and he missed it. He said, but when he looked at the tiger And the tiger looked at him. He knew he meant business. So
The tiger man.
the tiger, George Foreman knew he meant business. He said George Foreman said the tiger knew that he meant business. So he swung at him and missed him. But he tried to knock out the tiger because he went after his brother. But you're not doing that. That's why the Most High has to go with creatures that you can't do nothing with.
That's real. That's real.
Because it's beyond your scope of influence. It's beyond your power.
Right.
You're not sleeping next to the unicorn. You're not sleeping with Leviathan.
It's not gonna wrestle me.
You're not doing nothing with this. You're not wrestling him. It's too wild, too strong. He said he did it to check Job's what? To humble him.
To humble him.
Read.
For his folly in making so bold with him as he had done.
He said he had checked him for his foolishness. Because you speaking on the Most High and you don't know nothing about the Most High.
Right.
So the Most High got to put a lot of people in their place. There's certain things that you shouldn't even know or speak on that you have no regard when it comes to the Most High. You can barely control what happens to you in a day.
That's real.
You can't control that.
You really can't control what happens to you in a day. You can say, I hope I do this.
Can't control your own thoughts, huh?
Yeah.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen at any time. That's really one that you can't do is control your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's a battle within itself. So
that ain't even your business. It's God's business.
So we understand that point, right?
Okay.
Now let's go to Job chapter 40 verse 15. You can let that go. We'll come back to that later on. Job 40 and 15.
Job chapter 40, verse 15. Behold now, behemoth.
Now you can say I got another one for you.
Oh, God, he got a whole
Come
bunch
on,
of
man.
He keeps dropping them on him, man.
He keep bringing these creatures out because he got to keep telling Job, you're not doing nothing. Yeah, what about this one? Take that. See, he said, I want you to behold who?
Behold now, behemoth.
He said, I want you to behold the behemoth. Check him out. Read on.
Which I made with thee.
He said, I made it when I created man.
Oh.
So we know that this behemoth is not what? It's not mythical. This is real. This is terrestrial.
I made it when I made
He said, I made it when I made you. He said, I created it with you. So it was on the earth, and it's been on the earth as long as you've been on the earth. So this is a land animal. He's telling them what it is. He said, I created this with you. So we know it's real. It's not a made up. The behemoth is not a made up creature. We just have to try to dig and get some understanding on what this creature is. What is this thing? Just like we don't really know Leviathan. What is this thing? The behemoth. We can only suppose. But we do know this. It was made when man was made. Read.
It says, he eateth grass.
And we know it's an herbivore. He said this behemoth it's an herbivore. What else?
He eateth grass as an ox.
He said he eateth grass as an ox. But is the behemoth an ox?
No.
No. He eateth grass like an ox. So he's an herbivore. But he's not an ox. That unicorn is more like that wild ox.
Yeah.
That wild cattle than the behemoth. Read on.
Lo, now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly.
Read.
He moveth his tail like a cedar.
It says when he moves his tails like a cedar, like a tree. Read.
The sinews of his stones are wrapped together.
That means the muscles, his sinews or his muscle fiber. It says his muscle fiber is wrapped together. His fibers are wrapped together, but he's stout, firm. Go ahead.
Verse 18. His bones are as strong pieces of brass.
It says his bones are like equivalent to the strength of brass. We know it's real. Read on.
His bones are like bars of iron.
Damn. Read.
He is like the chief.
Nope.
So like he is the chief of the ways of the Most High.
So he said he's an example of how strong the Most High is. But you can't even put the strength of the Most High in any kind of form.
Right.
Or any shape, or you can't format the strength of the Most High. It's impossible. He said, but when it comes to earth animals, his strength is inconquerable. You can't conquer it. It's not easily conquered. Read on.
He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him.
Only the Most High can really defeat this creature one-on-one. Man can't do it. Only the Most High can do it. Read.
Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady tree.
So we know he likes the shade. What else?
He lieth under the shady trees in the covert of the reeds.
So, and he likes to be amongst the reeds. So he likes to be in the area where reeds grow because he eats the grass. But he's in the water, in the streams where the grass is.
Right.
So we got to get an idea about what this is. Read.
And fence.
Go ahead.
Verse 22. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold.
Stop right there. So when you look at this, get the Strong's definition so you understand what this is. The Strong's definition of behemoth. Get that real quick. The first definition.
Perhaps an extinct dinosaur.
It says perhaps a what?
An extinct dinosaur.
So it says perhaps an extinct what?
Dinosaur.
But which dinosaur? It says a diplodocus or a brachiosaurus, right?
Brachiosaurus.
No, brachiosaurus.
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 I can't get it right in the back.
Okay, so it's a bunch of them, but he's saying that it's possible that it's an extinct dinosaur, right? Now that's what the Strong say. Now you got to get other. You can't just depend on just the Strong. You got to go to other sources.
That's interesting, actually, because how are they saying possibly what it is if man has made every name for every dinosaur that they've found, that they've discovered? They named it. Well, so why are they saying possibly?
Because you got to go off the etymology of the word itself. And I'll give you an example. That's the Strong's definition, right? Now, the terminology. Read this right here, Daliat. Behemoth.
Behemoth. Apparently, a beast used of domestic or wild animals of the same form. Behemoth occurs in other passages.
Stop right there. Now, get this right here. It says the word behemoth.
The word behemoth occurring in Job 40 and 15.
So we read Job 40 and 15. Read.
Is not a Hebrew word.
It said it's not a what?
Is not a Hebrew word.
That's why you have to find the etymology of the word, because that word is not a Hebrew word. Go ahead.
The place of behemoth.
No, but the place of the plural.
The plural of behemoth.
But behemah. It's telling you. Now he's going to give you more of a detailed origin of the word itself. It says the plural of the word behemah. Behemoth comes from the plural word behemah. Bahima is actually not a Hebrew word, but it's what?
But a word of Egyptian origin.
But it's a word of Egyptian origin.
Wow.
Bahima. That's where the word behemoth comes from in the English. It comes from the plural word of bahima, from the Egyptian language. Read.
Signifying.
But in Egyptian language, a bahima signifies what?
Water ox.
It's a water ox. Or
this etymology is denied by Cheyenne and others.
So some people say it's a water ox. Read on.
The word has by various writers been understood to mean rhinoceros.
No, rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros.
It could be. Some people say it could be a rhinoceros, because rhinoceroses eat grass too. What else?
An elephant.
An elephant eats what? They eat grass also, right? Read.
But the description, Job 40, 15 to 24, applies on the very well to the hippopotamus.
It says, but more likely it's the what?
Hippopotamus.
Now, when you read about a hippopotamus, hippopotamuses kill more people and humans than lions in Africa.
That's crazy, bro. I hear about how dangerous they are.
Yeah, the hippopotamuses kill 500 people a year in Africa. Lions only kill on an average of 22 people a year. Hippopotamuses are more dangerous than lions are. They account for over 500 deaths a year when a lion only accounts for 22. Because you can't approach a hippo. Matter of fact, when you read or you watch videos on how hippos hunt you, they actually run on the bottom of the water.
Yeah.
And they run fast as hell underwater.
Yeah.
They run underwater and they know how to push off the ground. They know how to push off the mud. And then they dive up and they do this like this little breaststroke at you. And they come up like a breaststroke. And even when you got a motor, you watch them the Africans and the white folks in the little boats. Even when you got a motor, they could barely outrun the damn hippo in the water.
That's crazy.
Your little motorboat. And they're like, hurry up. And then you see the damn hippo coming up out the water, splashing, chasing them. And what they do is they knock your boat over. Once they get to you, they flip your boat over, and it's crunch time. It's crunch time, bro. That's how that accounts for over 500 deaths a year.
Wow.
When you look at the hippo, their size. Finish reading that right there.
It says, hippopotamus amphibious, which inhabits the Nile and other rivers of Africa. Especially applicable are the references to its great size.
Now, when
eating grass.
Yes, when you look at the hippos, they can reach up to 9,000 pounds. A truck, a F-150, is around 4,500 pounds. A hippo can get up to 9,000 pounds. Now, you also got a problem in Colombia right now.
What's going on in Colombia?
Everybody know, for those that know, yes, sir.
Escobar.
Yes. Pablo Escobar brought hippos over
That's right.
as guards to his illegal operation. He brought them in from Africa. He brought 5 hippos from Africa. I believe it was 2 males and 3 females is what he first shipped over from Africa. And he brought them in to secure and protect his farming industry that he had going on. Yeah, he had to protect his investment. And after Pablo Escobar was killed and put to death, those hippos got away. They escaped the compound. And they got into one of the local lakes and rivers in Colombia. And now their numbers, they can't eliminate them because they're they're said to be now over 500 hippos now from the 80s, from the 70s, 80s, whenever he brought them in. And they're so big, they're so strong, and they hide in the rivers. They only really come out at night. They stay in the water half the day. They stay in the water, and they'll come out in the heat of the day, they'll come out in the shade sometimes, but they hide in the shade. They, like the scriptures say, they like the shadows under the trees. That's where you find the hippos when they're not in the water. They're in the shade. And they haven't killed people yet in Colombia, but they've already crushed 2 people. They barely got away. And they said that to take those hippos out, it would cost $1 million to tranquilize just one of them.
Right.
And to tranquilize them and export them out of the country. So they're so problematic, and they're so large. They're the largest invasive species to inhabit North America. There's no other invasive species as large as the hippo that don't belong in Colombia, in South America. But they're up to 9,000 pounds, and they can't get them out the water. They run. If you come at them, they come at you. They'll kill you. So he's showing you that this behemoth is more likely what? It's this hippo. It's this hippopotamus. And you'll find that also in other sources. Matter of fact, when you read the Strong's, finish that in the Strong's definition. Who had the Strong's definition of behemoth? Go ahead and somebody pick that up for him.
Con. Perhaps an extinct dinosaur. A Diplodocus or Brachiosaurus, exact meaning alone.
Read down in the rest of it at the bottom.
Translate as
In the plural.
or hippopotamus.
Go ahead.
But from the description in Job 40, verse 15 through 24,
And then it says also, in form a plural. It says really a singular of Egyptian.
Speak louder.
Of Egyptian
Derivation.
derivation.
So it derives from it, just like we just read in the International Bible Encyclopedia. The word itself derives from an Egyptian origin. Bahima is where it comes from. Read on.
A water ox.
It's also, but when you translate it in the Egyptian tongue, it would be considered a water ox or what?
Or the hippopotamus, or a Nile horse.
Or they call it the Nile horse.
Wow.
Because it has the jaw structure and the anatomy of the head of a horse, but it stays in the water and it's extremely strong. When you look at Discovery Channel, you look at lions jumping on hippos' back. They can't even stop them. They just drag the lion, bro. And then you'll see teeth marks. You'll see teeth marks in the back, but it really just penetrates the skin. They barely break the skin. Their hide is so tough. The lion's teeth barely break the skin, and their bodies are so round. They can't. The lion's mouth don't open up wide enough to get on the body. They just got a bunch of scratches on it. Yeah, they got no neck. It's all muscle. They'll drag 3 or 4 lions back into the water. Even the crocodiles don't deal with the hippos. If a crocodile, talking about a Nile crocodile, 18 feet long, swims in a hippo area, he's dead. They'll kill him. They normally function together, but you can't they can't cross their path. They got to respect them. Even the baby hippos swim with the crocodiles. They have their babies with the crocodile. Check it out. Look at it online. It's one of the only animals that not even the crocodiles mess with. The babies swim next to the crocodiles. So he said, we know what it is, right? Is that it, my Waller, what you got right there? It says the Nile horse is what they call it. It's known as the Nile horse or the hippopotamus as being the definition for the behemoth. Now, finish that in Job. We had Job 40.
Job chapter 40, verse 22. It says, the shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river. He hasteth not.
It said he drinks a lot. He hasteth not. Read.
He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth.
Go ahead.
He taketh it with his eyes. His nose pierceth through snares.
So he said, read on.
Job 41.
No, that's it. So what I want to get was the fact that he trusted that he could open his mouth wide. Hippos are one of the few animals that can open their mouth beyond 90 degrees. And they show their teeth to scare you off. They open their mouth real wide to show you their big ass teeth to let you know you're in danger of getting chomped on. It said, read this right here in the BKC. It says the hippo is what?
The hippo is difficult, if not impossible, to kill with a mere hand sword.
It said even a hand sword you can't kill a hippo. For a man to go toe to toe with a hippo, even with a sword in his hand, is merely impossible. Read this right here. Now those hippos in South America, they say are reaching upwards of 9,000 pounds. This one, it says in the BKC, these hippos are what? The adult hippo.
The adult hippo of today weighs up to 8,000 pounds.
All right. It says, read this. Finish this right here.
God. It says, the word. I'll read it from the top. The hippo is difficult, if not impossible, to kill with a mere hand sword. The words his maker can approach him with his sword, verse 19, suggests that only the Most High dare approach the beast for hand combat.
Only the Most High.
Only the Most High, bro. So what is the Most High? What is the Most High reminding Job of? That he's limited, bro. He's constantly telling them, Job, you're limited in your power. You can't stop the creatures that I created, let alone question me about what I'm doing. You got Job, right? Y'all up? Finish now. Now jump to Job 41. Start at verse 1.
Job chapter 41, verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook?
No, sorry. Give me Job 40. 40, verse 1.
Job chapter 40, verse 1. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him?
It says, shall he that contendeth with the Almighty do what?
Instruct him?
The Most High is asking Job, are you going to teach me something? Do you got something I can learn from you? Or are you going to instruct me? Because the way you questioning me is almost like you got something to teach me. So you going to teach me something? You got to understand how the Most High is talking to Job. You can't even handle my creatures, let alone question me. Read on.
He that reproveth the Most High, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile.
He said what?
I am vile.
He said, I'm vile, meaning what? I'm polluted.
Base, mean, worthless, despicable.
I'm vile, I'm despicable. He said, I'm a nobody. I'm a piece of crap. Now Job wants to shut his mouth all of a sudden. Now Job wants to eat his words a little bit. He said, Behold, I am vile. Read.
What shall I answer thee?
I don't got an answer for you. Now Job was silent all of a sudden. For all these chapters, Job had something to say about the Most High. But when the Most High finally confronts him, he don't got nothing to say. Read.
I will lay my hand upon my mouth.
I'm going to just shut up.
That's the best answer.
Read.
Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further.
He said, I've made the mistake and I said something and I answered once. He said, but I ain't going to answer no more. He said, I'm not going to question you no more and I'm not going to proceed no further. He said, this conversation is over. So you don't want the Most High to have to address you. But that's what has happened with the story of Job. That's why we're reading about these creatures. We would never know about Leviathan, about the behemoth, about the unicorn. If Job didn't stand up to the Most High and ask him some questions that the Most High got angry with. You don't know enough to question my. That's the problem with man. Man has an opinion. And that's man's disease, is his opinion. And that causes the Most High to have to confront you. And then we don't want the Most High to have to confront us. We don't want that. Ecclesiastes. The best thing to do, Ecclesiastes, chapter 39. And let's read verse 16, verse 15 actually.
Ecclesiastes 39 and verse 15. Magnify his name.
That's why the best thing we can do is what?
Praise him.
Give the Most High what?
Magnify his name.
What is that class? What does that mean?
Praise is made greater.
Greater. To magnify means to put on high, to exalt, to praise, to be found worthy. The best thing man can do is to magnify the Most High's name, to praise the Most High. Give the Most High his credit. Give the Most High his adoration. Give the Most High his worship. That's what we can do. Questioning the Most High is useless. Question the Most High, why the Most High do this to me? Why the Most High make this happen? You don't know unless the Most High reveal it to you. But the best thing we can do is stop getting angry and upset about why the Most High is doing certain things. In retrospect, we should be praising the Most High. Because there's a lot of things that the Most High is doing that you have no idea about his plans. There's a lot of things the Most High does that you don't understand. We're limited. Our best bet is to praise the Most High. Read that again.
Ecclesiastes 39 and verse 15. Magnify his name and show forth his praise with the songs of your lips.
And that's what, thank the Most High. Be thankful.
Be thankful.
Be thankful and be appreciative of whatever the Most High brings you. The Most High can't stand somebody that's proud, that's opinionated, and is ungrateful. The Most High is upset with that. Read on.
And with heart
And in praising him,
Put some songs together. Read on.
and in praising him, ye shall say after this manner.
He said, you shall say after this matter. Read.
All the works of the Lord are exceeding good.
So what should be our motto that we should have in our minds every day?
All the works of the Lord are exceeding good.
When it comes to the Most High, what should be coming out of our mouth?
All the works of the Lord are exceeding good.
Man, why the Lord do this to me? Why the Lord make this happen to me? You think the Most High want to hear your complaints? Or would he much rather hear your praise and your appreciation and your thankfulness? Would he not rather you celebrate his goodness versus question him of what his intentions is and what his intentions are? He much rather us celebrate his goodness. And rather us say, man, whatever the Most High is doing is good. Can you do that every day? Or are you going to question the operations of the Lord? Because that's where man gets in trouble. Read on.
And whatsoever he commandeth shall be accomplished in due season.
And whatever the Most High wants done, may his will be done. In due season. Read on.
And none may say, what is this?
And none may say what?
What is this?
What the hell is going on? Because then you start acting like Job. Then the Most High got to bust out some creatures you ain't never heard of. Then the Most High got to hit you with some questions that you don't got no answers for.
What's the image of a sound?
Yeah. What's the weight of fire?
Yeah, it's the weight of fire.
You don't got no answers.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah. He said that's a hard. Yeah, he said that's a hard thing. Yeah, it's a hard thing. Of course, it's a hard thing because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? None of us know fully the scale of what the Most High is doing. But one thing that we do know is that whatever the Most High is doing, you should be appreciative of it. You should be thankful for it. Read on.
And none may say, what is this? Wherefore is that?
Why the Most High make that happen to me? What the Most High? Why is God like this? Man, you don't want to ask that question. Read on.
For at time convenient they shall be selected. For at time convenient they shall all be sought out.
The Most High said at the time that he wants it to be known, he's going to explain everything of why he does what he does. But we don't. But there's not a convenient time. We don't got time for the Most High to. We don't got time for the Most High to tell us everything. How do we know this? Ecclesiastes 17 and 30. Somebody read that real quick.
Ecclesiastes 17 verse 30. For all things cannot be in men.
The Most High said what?
For all things cannot be in men.
He said the Most High said he can't tell men everything. He can't give men everything. Men can't know the whole operation of the Most High. Why not?
Because the Son of Man is not immortal.
He says because the Son of Man, us human, mankind, is not what?
Immortal.
He said we don't live long enough for the Most High to tell us everything. You don't have enough life on earth for the Most High to sit back and describe and tell you his whole operation. If you were immortal, yes, then the Most High could tell you everything. But to give you everything right now on earth is a waste of his time and a waste of our time. We don't live long enough for the Most High to sit and describe every detail of what he's doing in his operation. Best thing we can do is say, whatever you're doing, Lord, thank you. Whatever you got going on with me, thank you. Whatever situation I'm in, thank you. You don't live long enough to question the Most High. That's why I said everything cannot be in man. You don't got the time. That's why I said everything will be made and known in due season. You'll get a season. You'll get your opportunity to ask whatever questions you want to ask the Most High. But it ain't here on earth. You gotta wait till Christ come back. Then you can ask the Most High, man, what happened in this situation? On this day and time? Why did this happen to me? Then you might get you an answer. But to question the Most High and all of his doings right now, you're wasting your life. You're wasting your time. Let that go and go back to where he's at.
God.
And verse 39, verse 17.
God. Ecclesiastes 39 and verse 17. And none may say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For at time convenient.
That's why all the questioning the Most High is useless. All the questioning, why the Lord do this, why the Lord make me this way, why this, why that, all that's useless. Because all that's stemming from your opinion and your dislike of situations or your ignorance. And some things are just not made to be known. Because the Most High we don't have the time for the Most High to make it known to us at all times. Read.
For at time convenient, they shall all be sought out. At his commandment, the waters stood as in heat.
They said, on his commandment, the Most High gathered the waters together so the children of Israel could walk through the Red Sea on dry ground. That was by his command, on his time. Read.
And at the words of his mouth, the receptacles of water.
And at the words of his mouth, when the door of Noah's ark closed, at the words of his mouth, the storms came down and rain fell on the earth for days and days until every mountain had water on it above 15 cubits high. The complete earth was covered with water.
Higher than the highest mountain.
Higher, 15 cubits higher than the highest mountain. And then it wasn't until the Most High was pacified did the water stop. So what he said is, you better enjoy the ride. You better enjoy whatever the Most High is doing with you. However he's navigating your life, you better be grateful. You better be thankful versus complaining and questioning why this and why that. Why am I going through thus? Why has the Lord made me thus? Man, you wasting your time. He said the operations of everything are on his command. Read on.
At his commandment is done whatsoever pleaseth him.
And he does whatever pleases him. The Most High write the script. You just play your part. But the script is already written. It's best that we find out how to please the Most High and be thankful versus wasting time doubting the Most High, debating the Most High, arguing the Most High, questioning the Most High, being upset at the Most High. You waste your life doing that. You waste your life. Read.
And none could hinder when he was saved.
And you know what? And when the Most High decide to save you, who can stop you if the Most High decide to save you out of a situation? Nobody. No judge, no police, no doctor. It's the Most High's, under the Most High's control. Read on.
The works of all flesh are before him.
He said the works of all flesh. Everything you say and do is before who?
The Most High.
Read on.
And nothing can be hid from his eye.
And nothing can be hid from the Most High. Everything we say and do, even our thoughts, the Most High is checking. The Most High is checking those thoughts. He monitors your thoughts. He monitors your actions. He monitors your secrets, what you think you get away with, or the words that you say in silence when you don't think nobody's listening. The Most High monitors your complaints. He hears it all. Read on.
He seeth from everlasting to everlasting.
Go ahead.
And there is nothing wonderful before him.
That meaning the Most High is not surprised.
Nothing new.
There's nothing you can do to surprise the Most High that he hasn't seen already or don't know. The Most High is not shocked by you. Read.
A man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he hath made all things for their use.
They said, for he has made what?
All things for their use.
He has made all things for his uses. So the Most High, whether the Most High got Leviathan, he got him for what? His use. The Most High got the unicorn, he made him for what? His use. The Most High made the behemoth, he made him for what? For his use. Or if the Most High made the damn prehistoric crocodile, that damn Dinosuchus, the Most High made him for what? His use. Whatever the Most High created is for his use. The Most High is controlling everything. It's best that we just appreciate what the Most High is doing with us and allowing us to experience what he has to offer. It's the best thing we can do. When you start questioning the Most High, this is when you create pseudosciences. And this is when you create false religions and false ideologies and false belief systems. And we're going to prove that real quick before class is over. We're almost done. Genesis chapter 12, verse 4. Through man's lack of understanding, we start generating questions that are out of bounds and beyond our influence and understanding. Genesis, we're gonna break this down real quick and we're going to wrap it up.
Genesis chapter 12 and verse 4. So Abram departed, as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him.
Read.
And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. Verse 7. And the Lord appeared unto Abram, and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him.
All right, now, gotta go to Josephus. Grab the Josephus real quick. We gotta, Johanna, get the Josephus real quick. We gotta go to Josephus, book 1, chapter 7, paragraph 1.
Book 1, chapter 7, paragraph 1.
Yeah, book 1, chapter 7, paragraph 1. Because we just read that the Most High picked Abraham to come out of Abram at this time, to pull him out of the land of Sumer, of Ur of Chaldee, and bring him into the land of Canaan. So what was Abraham? Why did the Most High even deal with Abram as such? We got to understand, get a little bit of backdrop about what he was doing while he was in ancient Sumer, or Ur of Chaldee. Read that right here. Start at line 154.
God, and took it to the Jews. Book 1, chapter 7, line 154.
Read that.
Now Abram, having no son of his own, adopted Lot, his brother Haran's son, and his wife Sarai's brother. And he left the land of Chaldea when he was 75 years old. And at the command of the Most High, went into Canaan.
Read.
And therein he dwelt himself, and left it to his posterity. He was a person of great sagacity, both for understanding all things and persuading his hearers.
So he says he was a man of great sagacity. He had great understanding. He was wise. He was sagacious, and he was good for persuading his hearers. What was Abram doing at the time? He was teaching. Read.
And not mistaken in his opinion.
And he was teaching based upon what he understood that the Most High was showing him, and he was not subjected and far gone and overthrown by his what?
Opinion.
And that's what Job was doing. That was Job's mistake, right? Job, the Most High had to address Job because Job had a bunch of opinions about the Most High without knowledge. And that's why the Most High had to come deal with him directly, because he had opinions without knowledge. Abram, on the other hand, wasn't mistaken by his opinions. He didn't let his opinions or his thought process get the best of him. Read on.
For which reason he began to have higher notions of virtue than others had.
Go ahead.
And he determined to renew and to change the opinion all men happen then to have concerning the Most High.
So his objective, what Abraham's objective was to alter the opinion of and the outlook, the perception, and the belief system of how all the other people had about the Most High. He was one man against the whole world. All the other people had one perspective towards the Most High. They thought it was many gods. It was a polytheistic belief system at this time. Abraham tried to convince and had a desire to convince that there's only one God in control. There's only one God doing everything, not multiple gods. This man was going against the grain. Read on.
Come. For he was the first that ventured to publish this notion.
He said he was the first to publish and venture this notion that what?
That there was but one power.
So nobody else came with this kind of.
Nobody else came with this monotheistic understanding that there's one God controlling everything. Abram was the first to declare that there's one God in control of everything. Everybody in the world believed it was multiple gods. All the other nations. Read.
The creator of the universe.
And he was the creator of the universe. Read.
And that, as to other gods, if they contributed anything to the happiness of men, that each of them afforded it only according to his appointment.
Read on.
And not by their own power.
Read on.
This, his opinion, was derived from the irregular phenomena that were visible both at land and sea, as well as those that happened to the sun and moon.
And what? To the sun and moon and what else?
And all the heavenly bodies.
Because the other nations believe that the sun is a god of its own. They believe that the moon is a god of its own. Like, for example, when you look at Islam, when you look at Allah, when you look at the ancient origins of Allah, Allah was actually the moon god, and it was a female.
Yeah.
All right? So that's who Allah was. It was a female moon goddess. So all other religions, all other nations believed that the celestial bodies were gods themselves. The Greeks and the Romans believed in who? Greeks believed in Kronos.
Yep.
The Romans believed in who? Same planet, Saturn,
Apollo.
that we call Saturn today. Venus, Jupiter. They believe these to be gods. And this is where they got their either it was posterity, where they got their fertility, whether they got their wealth, whether they got their capital, whether the Kronos was the god of time. Kronos was the one that's why you got the word chronography. That's why the first timekeepers were known as chronographs. Time from who? Kronos. Kronos was the god of time. That's where these people get this from. So you got the nations and all the people in the world believing that these celestial bodies were gods themselves. They were misinformed about the Heavenly Father. They attributed their success, their posterity, their life, even their calendars to other gods. When Abram was the only one to subscribe to the notion that there is only one power. Read.
If, said he, these bodies had power of their own, they would certainly take care of their own regular motion.
He said if they were powers themselves, then they would take care of their own regular motions. Abram understood that these powers, celestial and of the ocean, were cyclistic. This is why even scientists today call the universe the melodic chaos, or another term they use is symphonic chaos, because they say that the stars are in a symphony. They're melodic. It's rhythmic. They call it rhythmic chaos. There's a rhythm to the stars. But they call it chaos because it's uncontrollable. You can't control asteroids, planets, galaxies. You can't control these things. You can't just control starbursts. You can't control the sun's power. One little solar flare from the sun and all our telecommunications are knocked out. We lose telephone signal. We lose electricity. We lose radio from one little solar flare. Something has to be holding the sun back from burning us all up. Something has to be holding the planets back from colliding to one another. This is what Abram understands. Read on.
But since they do not preserve such regularity, they make it plain.
He says they make it what?
Plain.
They make it plain that they don't have power within themselves. Something is keeping this chaos that it goes on in the heavens. Something is keeping this functioning to where we're not destroyed yet. Something is keeping the planets from colliding. You can watch asteroids hit the moon all day. The moon doesn't have an ozone layer to burn up the asteroids before they collide and hit the earth. Something is burning up these damn rocks, these space rocks. Something is keeping us preserved. Otherwise, we all be dead. So what Abram is saying is something great, a higher power must be in control of the celestial bodies to where we have life and life is preserved on earth. Read.
That insofar as they cooperate to our advantage,
It says they cooperate to our advantage. So something got to be controlling these damn planets. Something got to be controlling these space rocks. Read.
they did it not of their own abilities, but as they were subservient to him that commands them, to whom alone we ought justly to offer our honor and thanksgiving.
And once again, Abram said, because some greater power is controlling the celestial bodies, and we don't have no control, but we're still alive, then we should be offering the Most High what?
Honor and thanksgiving.
Same thing we just read in Ecclesiastes. You don't have no control. So the best thing we can do is give the Most High praise. We're not controlling this. We're not controlling the calendar. We're not controlling the moon. We're not controlling the sun. We don't got no control of the heavens. We don't even control the things of the earth, which we just read in Job. We don't have no power. Best thing we can do is offer the Most High praise, honor, and thanksgiving. Read on.
For which doctrines, when the Chaldeans and other people of Mesopotamia raised a tumult against him,
And even in Josephus, he's telling you that the Mesopotamians and the Chaldeans, they had what? They had other what? Doctrines. They didn't believe in a one God teaching. They didn't believe in a one God religion. They believed in a multi-God religion. They gave credit to other deities and gave names and power to other planets and celestial bodies. So he's showing you that other doctrines always existed, but especially for the unbelievers. Read on.
he thought fit to leave that country.
He said he thought fit to what?
Leave that country.
Go ahead.
And at the command, and by the assistance of the Most High, he came and lived in the land of Canaan. And when he was there settled, he built an altar and performed a sacrifice to the Most High.
Read on. Now let that go. And we're gonna tie this up. Showing that man's error is his opinion about the Most High. That's where man's error is. And showing that through man's error, him having an opinion, is where you get multi-doctrines from. A multitude of false doctrines. It stems from man having a falsified opinion of God. That's where other doctrines are born. That's where false religions are born. It comes from us not having the right understanding of the operation of the Most High. And so because of that, these fake religions, these fake ideologies, these fake doctrines, these fake belief systems are born from that. From people misinterpreting and misunderstanding the operations of the Most High. That's where idolatry comes from. We're going to prove that. We're going to go here and follow. I want you to read just the pink portion right there. Just all that you see that's pink. Start up top right here.
Oh, Con. It says
Page 270 in the follow.
The Chaldeans appear beyond all other men to have devoted themselves to the study of astronomy.
So during the Chaldean time frame, that's where Abram was living at. Abram was alive during the time of what? The Chaldeans. He came out of Ur of Chaldee. He said, but these people believed in what?
The study of astronomy.
He said they believe in the study of astronomy. The operation of the celestial bodies. Read.
And of genealogies.
And they believed in genealogies. And he's going to explain even further. Read on.
Adapting things on earth to things sublime.
So the way that astronomy works is they feel like the time that you're born, the year that you're born, the season that you're born, the month that you're born in, what sun was up in the sky when you were born, what moon, where was the moon in the sky when you were born. These are the operations of the celestial bodies. They feel like they're attached to the human beings on earth. This is where the zodiac comes from, but where they start reading your horoscope. What's going to happen to you? What's your luck? When is your lucky months? When is your lucky days? What are your lucky numbers? When are the times that you should look for better gain? What season is your season? When are things going to be fitting in the operation of your life? What to look for at what time in your life? They feel like your life is written in the stars. We're going to show it. Read on.
Adapting things on earth to things sublime, and also adapting the things of the heaven to those on earth.
Right. So what they believe is that there's symmetry between what goes on in the skies to what's going to befall you on earth. Don't they say your fate is written in the stars?
Mm-hmm.
Your future is written in the stars? Right. But this is the belief system of the Chaldeans. Read that next portion.
These men then imagined that this world which we behold was the only world in the existing universe.
It says this is also the false understanding of the Chaldeans. They believe that this world that we live is the only world where?
In the existing universe.
So we know that also from the first class that we taught about the Most High's creatures, Christ created the worlds. Right? Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, I believe.
Yeah.
He created the worlds. It said the worlds were framed by the Most High. Worlds, plural. But the Chaldeans say, no, there's only one world. What else?
And was either the Most High himself.
And it says they call the world, this world that we live on, they call the earth God. Go ahead.
Or else that it contained within itself the Most High.
Or God is in the animals. God is in the plants. God is in everything. And we've heard that before.
Yeah, all day.
God is in all nature.
They still push that today.
What they're doing is they're confining the Most High to only the earth. The Most High said in the scriptures, heaven is my throne and the earth is my what?
Footstool.
It's my footstool, not according to the Chaldeans. They say earth is a God and God is in everything in it. There's a misinterpretation, a misunderstanding of the Most High. You can't put the Most High in a box. You can't quantify his being and say he's only subjected to the earth or he's in a plant. Read on.
This is oils that it contained within itself the Most High. That is the soul of the universe.
Go ahead.
Then, having erected fate.
It says because of this, the Chaldeans erect what?
Fate.
They say fate. F-A-T-E. Your fate is declared where? In the stars. This is why a lot of our people are finding alternative ways of trying to get answers. And a lot of our people are reading tarot cards. A lot of our people are going to soothsayers. A lot of our people are getting their palms read. A lot of our people are going to pseudosciences, alternative sciences, numerology, to try to figure out what my numbers are. What are my lucky numbers? 15, 15, 15.
Yeah.
7, 7, 7. 41, 41. 42. You got a lot of people that live by numbers and numerology and the powers of numbers. Gematria. Or Kabbalistic mysticism. Going off sacred geometry. A lot of our people are going to these pseudosciences because they're misunderstanding of how the Most High operates. Read that part, that last part again. He said they declare that what?
They declare.
Or not declare, but that part where they said having
erected fate.
They said they erect what?
Fate.
Fate. Go ahead.
And necessity.
And necessity. So they tie in fate and the things they need to survive. Meaning my food, my water, my nutrients comes from the stars. If I observe this season, in this month, in the heavens, I'll be taken care of.
That explains why the Roman emperors, before wars and battles, would go make a sacrifice to the gods. They would go to the even
the oracles.
They would go to the oracles and get a message from the oracles.
Yep, and Alexander the Greek was famous for constantly visiting two temples. One was the Temple of Delphi in Athens, Greece, and the other one was in the desert of Egypt, near Cairo. And he would often visit these oracles to get a projection. And these oracles would do sacrifices. And they would get a projection of when it was time to go to war. And these oracles would usually sacrifice a young virgin. And whether she lived or died, she would have to inhale volcanic gases for the particular oracle in Athens, the Temple of Delphi. She would have to inhale gases, and when she went into a trance, or it was more a convulsion. Better yet, it was her brain was fighting to survive.
And they made it in the movie. They made it. They made it look romantic in the movie. Like she was underwater with the dress, and it was just a beautiful thing. But it was really sickening.
Right.
She was getting hot.
She was hallucinating from the volcanic gas, and she would give a projection, and if she lived, that was a good omen. But if she died, that was a bad omen. So if she lived, go to war. If she died, don't go to war yet. That's how they declared their fate. But he said this is the origin of Chaldean beliefs. They declared their fate and their necessity by what planets are aligned in the stars. What else you got on the pink?
God, so having erected fate and necessity into gods, they filled human life with excessive impiety.
It says they filled human life with excessive impiety. Impiety is a lack of respect for the Most High. This is why so many of our people are caught into alternative religions, because they don't understand who. They don't understand the Most High. Neither do they have a respect for Him. Go ahead.
God, it says, teaching men that the exception of those things which are apparent, there is no other cause, whatever of anything, but that it is the periodical revolutions of the sun and moon and other stars.
So these Chaldeans tell you that you gotta trust the stars, the moon, and the sun. These are the gods that you need to follow. This is the celestial body that's highest at its highest point in the sky. So when this star or this planet is rising, then you make a decision. You make a move. You determine your life based upon where the solar system is. Go ahead.
God, which distribute good and evil to all existing beings.
It says sun, moon, and stars are supposedly distributing what?
Good and evil to all existing beings.
So that's what Abraham was up against. That's what Abram was up against. He was up against a false ideology of how you're going to eat, how you're going to be taken care of, a false doctrine of what to believe in. He was convincing people that your fate is not in the stars, your fate is in the Most High. Your necessity is not in the stars, your necessity is from the Most High. Good and evil don't come from where the planets are, good and evil comes from the Most High. This is what he was doing to convert people into believing that there's one God and you can put your trust in Him. Read on down right there.
God. But he teaches that this universe is held together by invisible powers.
But Abram was teaching that this universe is held together by invisible power that you can't see, the Most High that you cannot see. Read on.
Which the Creator has spread from the extreme borders of the earth to heaven, making a beautiful provision to prevent what He has joined together from being dissolved.
He says the Most High is preventing total cataclysm and destruction, and from the earth's banging into each other, the planets burning each other up, or their gravitational pull pulling themselves and colliding against one another in their rotations.
That means it's created by intelligent design.
It is an intelligent design.
It can't, because the randomness of it will cause complete destruction, like you just said.
Right. That's why they call it rhythmic chaos, because they don't understand how the operations of the solar system are functioning without our power or control. But something is keeping us alive. Something is keeping the earth from dissolving. Someone is keeping the earth intact with its gravity, with its flowers and its trees, with its oxygen. Out of all the dying planets that are in the universe, the earth has yet to die. Something's holding it up. This is what Abraham had to convince the people to do. That next point.
For the indissoluble chains which bind the universe.
It says the indissoluble chains that bind the universe. Go ahead.
Are his powers.
Are whose powers?
The Most
The Most High's powers. He's keeping everything together. The Most High is keeping us in existence.
And they're completely, like they're just different systems. Like weather's a system. The radiation's a system.
Yeah.
Some of the things are radioactive. Man can't even touch it.
Man can't get close to it. But our misunderstanding of the Most High is where we start creating other philosophies. Where we start believing in other gods, giving power to things that don't deserve honor and praise.
Yeah.
Numbers. We love numbers, bro.
Wow.
We scratching lottery tickets. We going. That's all you see: cigarettes, beer, and lottery tickets. We love them numbers, bro. We scratch our palms. We want to hit the lotto bad. We're looking for numbers to pull us out of poverty. Read that part up here. We almost done. Read this part right here. Just that last part right. The green.
It says, these things then having been now said, for the purpose of overturning the opinion of the Chaldeans, he thinks that it is desirable to lead off and invite away those who are still
Chaldizing
in their minds to the truth of his teaching.
So let that go. So he said that. He said that form of belief is chaldizing. It's when you believe in multiple celestial bodies and give them titles as gods. This is the origin of fake beliefs. This is the origin of idolatry. And it comes from people that don't understand the operations of the Most High. Then fake religions are born. False doctrines are born. From us having our opinion about God. That's the origin of idolatry. Is your opinion. Because your opinion isn't always correct. Showing you, this is why he had to check Job about his opinion.
Scripture says, hardly shall men guess it right.
Hardly. So, we're going to let that go from now, and that'll be the end of class for now. And the last part of this topic will be on... did we understand that last part? I want to rush through it. Did we understand that last part?
Yeah.
What was the point of that last few verses that starting from Abraham being in Chaldea to what we read and follow?
Fighting the many false doctrines of men, showing that put more power into things they don't understand, that is given to the power that created it.
Right, when you start questioning the Most High, and you carry an opinion about the Most High that may be false, this is how fake doctrines are created. This is how fake religions are created. This is how idols are born. Because they come from people's imaginations.
Like Darwinism.
Yeah, like Darwinism, the Big Bang Theory, the theory of evolution. Yep. This is where these things are born. They're born out of man's opinion. And this is what the Most High had to check Job about his opinion. That's why it's so important that we read that, because that's where you can be misled at, is through how you look at the Most High. That's why you have to look at the Most High correctly. Give the Most High his honor and his reverence and his praise. Otherwise, you're left with impiety. Otherwise, you're left with idolatry or a fake notion about the Most High. So, that's going to go ahead and conclude this part 3 of the Most High's creatures. But we got one more part, which is going to show the cherubims and the seraphims and what their obligation is to the Most High. And those are creatures that are not seen at all times by man. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But those are part of the celestial bodies that are created, that are invisible, but they have a purpose also. So we're going to go over that purpose, and that'll conclude the last segment of this Most High's Creatures class. All right? Anything else? All right, with that, we're going to say shalom. And if y'all have something that y'all want to bring out, we're going to say shalom, and we'll be back in action on Friday. Yes, sir.
I was listening along, but
it was Josephus, chapter 1, book 1, chapter 7, paragraph 1. And we started at line 154. All right. Yes, exactly. The brother online, just quoted it that our opinions and our pride can lead us to idolatry against the Most High. That's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? We're in trouble when we start developing opinions, especially when they're false. But we're not wise enough to question the Most High.
Right.
We're short-lived. We don't live long enough to get the full understanding of the Most High. It's best for us in the position that we live in is to be appreciative and thankful for whatever the Most High bring across our table and deal with it and still be appreciative and thankful. And not look at the Most High to blame or to say, why are you doing this? Why did you do this? And why did you do that? Why you got me in this situation? That's not always up to us to answer. The Most High said when the time comes, He'll declare those things that are unknown. But in the meantime, give respect and praise and honor to the Most High. Stay away from your opinion. In the meantime. All right, with that, we're going to say shalom, and we'll be back on Friday. All right. Shalom, everybody. Shalom, family.